Welcome to the Know Before They Grow podcast. Today, our team will have a brief discussion on the topic of informed consent for DNA testing. It should be an interesting conversation. Let's get started.
All right, everybody, get ready because today we are diving into the world of DNA testing.
Really fascinating stuff.
It is, and I think this is what's really interesting about it. It's not just about, figuring out where your great-great-grandparents came from,
right,
which is interesting enough, but we're talking about like the kind of DNA testing that can seriously shake things up legally, emotionally, you name it.
High stakes.
High stakes, exactly. And that's why we're zeroing in on this thing called informed consent, especially when it comes to paternity testing.
Yeah, you see those paternity tests on daytime TV. And
yeah.
It all seems so cut and dry, but there's a lot more to it.
Oh, absolutely. So let's break it down. What is informed consent when we're talking about something as potentially life-changing as a DNA test?
Well, at its core, it means you're not just signing a piece of paper, you're making a real decision.
Right.
You need to know what that test is really about. How accurate it is.
Okay.
What the different outcomes could be, the good, the bad, the what ifs. And you need to be making that decision freely, no pressure.
So it's about really understanding what you're getting into.
100%. Mm-hmm. And with paternity tests, especially those that could end up in court, it gets even more critical.
Okay, so different types of paternity tests, different levels of consent needed.
You got it. There are peace of mind tests. Maybe you just want some answers for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Those might have different rules. But if it's a legal thing, like, determining custody or child support, then it's a whole other ballgame. Everything has to be airtight, by the book.
And that's where that whole chain of custody thing comes in, right?
Exactly. It sounds like something from a crime show, but it's all about making sure those DNA samples are handled correctly, no room for doubt about the results.
So it's about protecting everyone involved.
Absolutely. And speaking of protection, we got to talk about minors because obviously a kid can't just consent to a DNA test on their own.
Yeah, that's a whole other level of responsibility.
It is. Parents, guardians, they have to be the ones who really understand what's at stake, not just legally, but emotionally, for that child, for the whole family.
It really makes you think about the human side of all this.
Right. DNA testing, it's science, yes, but the information it uncovers, that's personal, life-changing stuff.
Imagine getting those results and finding out something you never expected. Maybe a sibling you never knew about, or that someone you thought was family isn't.
Exactly. And in the context of paternity, those results, they can either bring immense joy or completely turn your world upside down.
And it's not just about the person taking the test either, right?
Yep.
It has a ripple effect.
100%.
Yeah.
So many relationships are affected.
Absolutely. And that's why data privacy is so important here.
Huge. These testing companies, they're handling incredibly sensitive information. People need to know their data is safe, and that's part of informed consent too, knowing how your information will be used.
You're handing over this piece of yourself, basically.
Exactly. And going back to the emotional side, being prepared, really prepared for those results is key.
Yeah, have those tough conversations beforehand, right? Line up a support system, friends, family, maybe even a therapist, because this isn't just about genetics, it's about real people's lives.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Before you even think about taking that test, ask yourself, why am I doing this? What do I hope to gain? And most importantly, am I ready for the answer, whatever it may be?
Because sometimes the answers we get aren't the ones we expect, but that doesn't make them any less important.
Right. It's about approaching these decisions with your eyes wide open, informed, and ready for anything.
Well said. We're out of time for today, but for everyone listening, remember, knowledge is power. Do your research, understand your rights, and go into this process with both your head and your heart in the right place.
Your future self will thank you for it.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Know Before They Grow podcast. Please make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you need reliable paternity testing services, don't hesitate to contact IDTO at 877-680-5800 or click the link in the description to visit them online today. Thank you again for listening. Take care.